Today I'm going to show you how to winterize your lawnmower and to prepare it properly for storage so that next spring you can be off and running when the grass is ready to mow. Let's get out of the weeds. So the first thing that Honda recommends to do with your mower whenever you're going to be storing it is to either drain the fuel or put an additive in there to keep the fuel fresh over the period that you're going to be storing it. So I'm getting ready to actually do my last mow of the year right now, and so what I'm going to do is go ahead and add this to the fuel and then put it in my mower, run my mower so that the good fuel with the stabilizer in it gets in the fuel lines in that for my last mow, and then when I'm done I'll just top off the gas tank there, and then the lawnmower will be good to go. So this is really easy to use. Just looking on the back here, it only needs 1 ounce per 2.5 gallons. And so I looked here, I have just over a gallon in this tank here. And so what I'm going to do is only just use 1 ounce. And so I'll go ahead, take the cap off, and then there's markings over here that show you the ounce. So I have a 1/4 ounce, a 1/2 ounce listed here. And so I'll only need about a 1/2 ounce. So I just need to go up to the 1/2 ounce. So I go, take the lid off, squeeze this until I fill up to 1/2 ounce, right there. And now I just pour it in my fuel tank. So put that in the fuel tank, and then whatever's left in here, instead of just leaving it in here all winter, I'll just put it in my car or whatever, and then once in the spring comes, I'll just get fresh fuel then, but then I'll have all the stabilized fuel in the mower. A quick thing to note is that if you are not having to run your mower and mow your grass one final time, what the fuel stabilizer company recommends is that once you add that to your gas tank, is that you run your mower for 5 minutes to get the fuel all the way through the system. And so if you're not going to be mowing your yard, you need to start your mower and let it run for 5 minutes or so just to get it all through the system. For me, I'm going to be doing a full mow here in a second, so it'll get through the system just from me mowing. The first thing you're going to want to do is clean your lawnmower off if it's really dirty. As you can see from mine, it looks like it's been through a war. So I got the hose here, and I'm going to get ready to wash the mower off. Whenever you're doing this, you can use the hose directly on all that, but I would try to avoid just spraying it all here on the engine area as much as possible. So try to just keep it mostly on the body, and then just use a rag and stuff to wipe down up near the engine and that. Another thing too is I just took some soap and a rag and really cleaned off the wheels. So if you can see my wheels here, and then the side that I haven't done yet, look how green they are. So that's another thing too. If your wheels are looking real green, you just take some soap and clean them off real quick. It comes off pretty easy. Another thing to do when you're cleaning your lawnmower is to also flip it over and clean out the bottom of your mower. If you have any grass that's just kind of up there stuck underneath, clean underneath the mower deck, get any of that stuff out of there. So when looking at the owner's manual for my Honda mower, they recommend doing a couple different things before you store your lawnmower for winter. The first was add a fuel stabilizer, which I'd already did right before my last mow of the season. I then cleaned off my mower, and then the other thing they recommend is to change the oil in the mower. The reason they want you to change the oil at the end of the season is because of the dirty oil that would just be sitting in there over winter can be corrosive and cause damage to your mower. And so they want to get all the dirty oil out of there and put in fresh oil to be stored there, just because of the contaminants and stuff in the old oil. And so that's going to be the next thing. And so I'm going to show you an easy way to change your lawnmower oil The first step is find the proper oil that you want to put in your mower. So I looked just in the owner's manual of what they actually recommend, and so I was actually able to buy oil specific for the Honda. You don't have to. You can. They give several recommendations usually in owner's manuals, so just check that out, see what they recommend, and I would just stick with whatever they say in there. So now there's a couple different ways you can go about changing your lawnmower's oil. The first is you can remove the dipstick over there, which is right here, and then you can tilt your lawnmower over on that side, going into an oil pan, which would be right here. And so it would catch all the oil and empty out all the oil from your lawnmower. Well, a way I found that's even easier is to actually kind of use a vacuum method. And so you can actually buy these in the store. I'll kind of show you the kit on the screen here of what you can buy. And so what it's actually going to do is it's actually going to suck the oil out, so I won't even have to tip my lawnmower. It'll suck the oil out into this container here, and so then I don't have any just loose oil in a pan that I got to try to figure out what to do with. And so it just goes in the storage container right here, and then whenever this gets filled up, I can just take it to like a hardware store and they can recycle it for me. And so it's just a kind of a mess-free way of changing your mower, and it's very, very quick. And so I'll show you guys how. Okay, so I got the dipstick pulled out. I take this part, and this part sticks in over the cap of here. And so it just looks like an old basketball pump kind of attached to the top of this. And then you have a hose, and you just stick this hose all the way down in side here until you reach the bottom, and then you just leave it in there. And now you just start to pump this, and this will pump the oil right out once I start getting a little bit of suction. Important thing to know is to look and see how much oil your mower is supposed to take. That way you can kind of have a rough idea of how much you're putting in there so you don't overfill it. So 12 ounces happens to be the exact size of what I'm using today, but you can also get bigger bottles of this. And so what you want to do is, it's a good idea to know exactly how much oil your mower should take, so that way you don't run the risk of overfilling it. And so now once you add your oil, just double check to make sure the oil level is good. The last thing that Honda recommends for storing a mower is to put a little bit of oil directly into the cylinder. And so what you have to do to get oil into the cylinder is remove the spark plug. So first you take off the spark plug cap, which just pops off just like that. And so now you need to either have a socket wrench that can actually take off the spark plug, because it needs to be kind of long, or if you just have a wrench that can reach back in there, you can do that. So I don't actually have a socket that will work, but I do just have a wrench that reaches back there, so I'll remove that. And so now you have the spark plug removed. And so the manufacturer is recommending a teaspoon of oil go in there. So you need to use like a syringe or something so that you're able to get the oil in there properly. And so now I got myself a little syringe that I have filled up with the teaspoon of oil. And so I just stick it in there and just squirt it in there. And so now we just put the spark plug back on. Just make sure your spark plug's on there tight, and then put your cap back on, and it should kind of click on. And so then the last thing the manufacturer recommends is that once you add the oil into the cylinder directly, is that you pull the starter rope several times to distribute the oil within the cylinder. So I pull it a couple times, and then what they recommend is they say pull the starter rope until you feel tension, which I feel it right there, and then gently to put it back into place. So what that's doing is that is closing the valve to prevent moisture from being able to get into the engine cylinder. And so I hope you guys will join me next time when we get out of the weeds into a beautiful lawn.